attitude, effort. Control what you control. See depth.
Welcome to Keep It 100, the Coach Jones Show. What's up, Coach?
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. I know we're doing a little different today, man, with everything going on, Coach, man. I know last week was a hectic week for you. I know this week has been the same, man. I know you're preparing for Booker T this week, man, coming in this Thursday, kind of change some things around. You'll take on Booker T this Thursday night at, 6 o'clock, right?
Yeah, we'll be going at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Yes, sir.
Well, Coach, man, I know, let's tell the listeners real quick, some of the procedures we're going into the game, because I know yesterday I went to my nephew game and I missed the whole first quarter because sitting in line and waiting to get in. So let people know, because it's going to take us some time getting in the game.
Yeah, with the new procedures that we got coming in Middale, one of them is metal detectors, and I'm so excited about that. I spoke about that to, the Daily Oklahoma, that I think it's a procedure that and protocol that I think all schools should have is metal detectors. So it'll be different for the fans. That they have to be patient. Tomorrow we start at 6, so if you want to get in there on time, you have to get to the stadium at 4:30. And when we get to normal time, when we start at 7, you want to get there about 6, 5:36, just to make sure you get in the game in time, and so you can have the greatest experience that you can have. And it's worth it. It's going to make everyone feel safe. You can't cut out all the nonsense, but at least you can do your part and control what you can control. And the metal detector is going to be real big time and creating a safe environment for everybody. You also will have to have, we're going to have clear bags. You got to have a clear bag. And you also will have to be a Middale student. You can't get into the game unless you're a Middale student and you have a Middale ID. So I think all the procedures that we have, they'll be located online as well. They'll be posted out on the facilities as well. I think the new protocols and the new safety procedures that we have is going to put everybody in a safe environment, especially after what happened last week.
Yeah, Coach, man, I know last week was something else, man. I know you opened the season off over at the Bill Jensen Stadium against Choctaw Yellow Jackets, man. A great game, man. It had to end in a bad, tragic, man. But, and I know a lot of people were shook up, even myself and yourself and your team, man. I mean, it's something that you don't expect going to a high school football game, man, that you feel like that's something that you cheer, you clap, you scream, and then, it was the game was cut short because some knuckleheads want to act like a fool. But, Coach, I mean, it's sad because I know a student was lost out of this whole deal, man, and I know it's been tough on you and your team and even the administration of both schools, Choctaw and, all three, Middle City, Dale City, and Colorado. I know you and Coach Dunn and Coach Hall all got together and did a little thing for the Middale students, which is great, man. At the end of the day, Coach, I mean, football is football, but a life is more important than anything.
Absolutely. And my prayers go out to that young man's family. I have a niece that just turned 16. I have a football team and a football program with plenty of young men that are 16, 17, 18 years old. So just to know a young man's life got cut short, that's awful. Just a parent burying their child. I couldn't imagine what that parent's going through. My prayers go out to him. I'm going to try to reach out to him and try to, do something for them because, I want to give them their time to grieve. And when all the dust settles, I want to do something special for that family because we got to take care of them in the aftermath. I know everybody's probably contacting them, everybody's praying for them, but the real struggle is going to come months down the road, years down the road, when birthdays and Christmas and holidays and you don't have your child there and you're reminiscing on those memories. That's when those people are going to really need help. So that's first things first. I'm praying for that family. My heart goes out to them. Like I said, no child deserves to come to a football game and lose their life. No. Just like you said, we can't control young men who want to come to football games and do senseless acts. We can't control people who want to mess with the fabric of Friday night. That's one of the special things in America. But it's a societal problem. It's not a Middale problem. It's not a Dale City problem that people want to portray online. A lot of people were blaming us and saying we were the common denominator. And in both instances when we were dealing with the guns, they wasn't Dale City people. But it's a societal problem. Last week and last Friday, it was 11 different incidents throughout the United States of America that guns were at high school games. Some type of gun incident happened at the high school game. It was 3 incidents in Oklahoma. One instance, I believe, was in Pryor, Locust Grove, if I'm not mistaken. Then Booker T, our opponent this week, had an incident. So it's a societal problem that we instead of trying to ignore it, we have to know that's a real problem. I think, like I said in my video, it starts with love, and love is disciplining your child, knowing where your child is, talking to them about some of the decisions they're making, telling them that the video games and movies aren't real. I think this generation, for whatever reason, they're living in a false illusion that their mistakes and their actions don't carry long-term decisions. And it's always been gun issues in America, but the gun issues were never hitting football games, never hitting elementaries. Now it has crossed over because gangs have been around for a long time, too. You know that. We dealt with gangs and guns, but it was in the black neighborhoods. It was in the hood, so it never was really hitting the mainstream suburban towns and things like that. But now it's there, and we can't ignore it. And I think we got to really, really be smart on how we handle the rest of this year as far as security protocols, procedures, and then we just got to be aware. And we can't let fear grab us, though. That's the number one thing I do know. And I told our football players that we got to get back to a life of normalcy. When 9/11 happened, I remember how everybody bonded together, how sports kind of uplifted everybody. I think sports can do that now. We can't live in fear. We can't be scared to get out there to games. We have to trust our administrators. We have to trust. We have to trust our families. We have to be all together and be united. And with that being said, if we're going to trust the administration, we're going to trust districts, and we're going to trust the OSSA to put us in a safe environment, they're going to have to back it up with their actions as well, which I think Mid-Dale administration has. They have put some wonderful procedures, and I'm praying and hoping that those procedures is out of Wayne Gaze as well. So I'm going to be looking forward to meeting with athletic directors and talking to principals and talking to other head football coaches to be able to provide the most safe environment for people to enjoy this wonderful game of football, because football has changed a lot of people's lives. So it's not going nowhere. So we have to be educated and make smarter decisions moving forward to be able to protect people's families and protect the communities that go out and watch the games.
Yes, sir. You're right on the point, man. Like I said, it's touched a lot of people. Not just in Mid-Dale or Choctaw. It's touched out all of the communities, man. Like you said, this is going on. This made good time. What was that TV show? Good Morning America. ESPN.
Good Morning America. ESPN. I got an alert on my phone. I got an ESPN alert. And that's the first time we were on ESPN alert. And that's nationwide.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But Coach, man,
and it's a lot of negative attention, but it's kind of mind blowing that a little old town of Dale City is nationwide for something that happened twice.
Yes, sir.
One thing I did bring up to you is that I really pray that people talk to someone, because when you have these incidents, and especially as a man, you try to be tough, but it can affect you mentally. And it's a roller coaster. 1 second you're feeling good, the next second you're down, the next second you're up. It's just really some mental issues that are going on within myself, and I know it have other men that it's hitting too, because I don't think I ever dealt with it correctly when it happened in the basketball game. And now that I'm seeing it again, I'm just like, man, I'm going to get help. I'm going to talk to somebody, because mental health is very important, especially when you're dealing with young men and young women and you're a father. And when you have incidents like this, you got trauma like this, it's going to do something to you. So I pray that everybody that's struggling, everybody that, are having thoughts and feeling down and out about this incident, that's okay. That's normal. And I pray that you get help. Talk to somebody. Talk to your parents. Talk to your best friend. If you need to talk to me, reach out to me by email or by cell phone if you know me personally. But please don't try to fight this on your own. Please talk to somebody. Please tell somebody how you're feeling so you get the necessary help to continue to get back to that life of normalcy.
Yes, sir. And like I said, Coach, man, I know we've been on the subject, but last thing I want to ask you, because I know you had a team meeting Monday morning, man, and brought your team in after the long weekend they had, man, because like I said, those guys are in the middle of a game and this happens, man, and like I said, I'm on the sideline and you're over there coaching, man, so it's not like you can control none of this stuff, because you're trying to get the next play, you're trying to make a goal line stop. So, Coach, just kind of tell everybody, about like on Monday, bringing the team in, everybody hugging and praying and coming together as a family, because, a lot of times, people like to kick you when you're down, but right now is when everybody needs to be picked up, because nobody wants to go through this, man. I don't care if you're 16, 17, 20, 50, whatever. I'm a 51-year-old man, and Coach, and I mean, talk, it's taking a toll on me.
Yes, sir.
I'm not a gun guy. I never owned a gun. I never had a gun. So when I heard those shots, man, I melted. And I tell you, man, the most important thing, Coach, my family was there, and my wife left in time, and she had called me and said, "Hey, these kids are up here fighting, and they're talking about guns." And she says, "We're leaving." And I said, "Hey," I said, "Man, Rob scored one more time. I'm gonna leave." But I just tell you, man. I mean, God works in mysterious ways because think if I would have left and came up the stairs when she was telling me to get ready to leave, I could have been right there. You know what I'm saying? So the good Lord is good, and I said this on my show, but man, I mean, I know someone ended up getting hurt from this and passing away, but it could have been way worse than it could have been, Rob. So just kind of tell the listeners what you did for your team on Monday morning.
Well, the first thing, I let them know that, hey, we need to forgive anything that was said that night, anything that happened within these walls, because that's the incident that you cannot be trained for. I don't care how many trainings you go to, how many times you experience it. Some people, I see some of the things on social media, people calling out Dale City kids and calling us monkeys and N-word and saying that this was our fault and we're thugs. We were enjoying a football game. We were something that we prepared 9 months for. And these kids got put in a tragic event just because their upbringing, and they might have been in more situations like this. You don't never get used to this. There's no way that you can get used to playing a football game and you're out there cheering your teammates on, and you hear that and you have to run. So all the people that want to post things that are negative about this, I just pray that you think about these young men's minds. I pray that you think about their hearts, because they read this stuff and they read these things about that you're saying about them, and it affects them. If they say it or not, I promise you it does. So I pray that you really think about that. And I told them, maybe stay out. I told the kids, maybe you need to get off social media for a while. If it's affecting you, if you're seeing those things, just sign out for a while. Life will go on, and you can get back on. But right now, as you're healing, just sign off. If you see something negative, block them.
Yes, sir.
Block their social media. And, I told them that. And I also told them that we can't control, like I said earlier, we can't control when people do things like that. But what we can control moving forward is we have to love one another. We have to be united. We have to use the game of football to build a brotherhood to where you guys can know each other forever, and to instill character traits that are going to help you be a good brother, be a good father, go out there and be a good manager one day at some kind of business, or go be a doctor, or whatever it is. You're learning lessons in life from football that are going to transfer forever. And I said, I want everybody to stand up right now. And I said, I want everybody to shake hands, and I want everybody to hug. And I'm telling you, everybody did it, and I'm telling you, I know when I seen all those smiles, I seen everybody dapping each other up. It felt like almost like I won $1 million, like I won the lottery.
Yes, sir. Because
I was like, man, that's that normalcy that I need. Not that down and out. I need to see those kids' smiles. I need to see them happy again, because I saw confusion in their eyes Friday. I saw fear, and I couldn't help. As a coach, you feel like, you can help all the time, and I couldn't help. I couldn't help at that time. I couldn't even talk to them without crying for about an hour. I had to have a coach, and that's the first time in my life I was ever that emotional, just because I've never been in a situation where I couldn't protect my team.
It's a tough situation.
It's nothing, and that's scary. It's scary that I couldn't account for them for 40 minutes. I didn't know if one had been shot. I didn't know if my niece and nephew got shot. It was just a state of shock. And I told him that those hugs and those smiles, I think it kind of just let everybody know that that situation's over and we're moving forward. And I also told them, be proud of the way you played, man.
Yes, sir.
You a team that has played in the state championship 2 times in the last 3 years. Choctaw is predominantly one of the best teams in the state, and you went out there and played your butts off. We got a lot of new pieces this year, a lot of new people who are starting for the first time. And for us to go out there and play like that, I think that showed everybody what kind of brotherhood that we have built in the past year, and that we have learned from our mistakes last year, some of those losses. I just felt like this team really gelled together, and I think, I heard stories about, like you remember Tango, right?
Yes, sir.
And this is stuff that we do see them. This is why I talk about character development, control what you control. I got a text message of someone telling me that Tango did a great job leading some young white children. And race doesn't matter, but I'm just using this as an example for the people in the comments on Facebook. He led them to the forest or the trees and away from the stadium. He led them back there.
Yes, sir.
He was helping them out. And the lady called and texted me, and it was anonymous. And she said, I just want to let you know that one of your football players, Tango McCauley, led these young ladies to safety, and they were my daughters, and they were our nieces and nephews, and they were our grandchildren. We are so proud that he helped us in that time, and that time of fear. So for me to know that he was willing to give up his life and lay his life on line for another person in that type of moment, that shows you that CDEP is working. Yes, it's not just working for football, but it's working for life. So I just wanted to get that story out there as well.
Well, Coach, man, I know we've been on this subject for just a couple seconds, but let's talk about Friday night. Though you had a really good game, man. Like you said, you talk about some new pieces that's come on board to the team this year. You got 3 new guys that's come over. One from Bishop McGinnis and River Warren. Then you had Rodney Fields, and then you had LaDainian Fields. And I tell you, if you didn't know who Rodney Fields was Friday night, you found out who Rodney Fields was Friday night. I mean, I know we talked about it, man, and I know you kind of told me all summer, and me and you kind of joked and laughed about his running style, man. I think he got a little Josh Scobie in him. But I tell you what I like about this young man, Coach, and it's the little things. When he scores a touchdown, he just gives the ball back to the ref. He ain't jumping up and dancing and patting his, beating his chest and, trying. I mean, and it is good sometimes to do that stuff to get the crowd hype. But man, coaches like that. People like that.
It's humble. It's humble.
He's humble. And I told you
from a tragic situation. I don't know if I ever told you this, and I think Rodney would be okay with me saying this because I want to show this. This is the character traits he had. He lost his dad to gun violence, and and for him to go through that last night, and for him to go through that as a child and come up and still be successful at what he's doing, and his running style, you can tell he's running for his dad, and his Oklahoma State was his dad's favorite school, so it's a dream story, and they're getting one good back. I tell you that, they're going to be special. We'll be hearing about that kid on the next level as well, I believe.
And like I said, you talk about him, you talk about River. He had a decent game. I think a lot of it is, he's playing a big time 6A school. He managed the game real well. I mean, I know one interception probably wasn't even near his fault. It's just a great play by the defensive player on Choctaw's team, batting the ball, and that's what it's taught in the game, and taught at practice, and taught what to do in the game, and the defensive end just made a great play, and that's what happened. But I tell you, River, I know he got 13 more games before y'all get to the gold ball. I said 13, Coach, but because I really think y'all got a good chance to get there. But I tell you, LaDainian did have one catch. But, he played good on defense, and I loved him.
He had 2 key blocks.
Yes, sir.
For Rodney. And what people didn't understand, they just say LaDainian didn't have catches. Well, what's happening is Choctaw was bringing a linebacker out of the box to press him, and then they had a DB on top of him, so 2 over 1. Guess what that does for us? That gives us numbers in the run game, and obviously we saw that with Rodney. Because if it's one-on-one with him, good luck with that. Just not trying to sound cocky, but we kind of witnessed that last night. He can run you over. He can out shift you. He can wiggle a little bit. So
he got a little wiggle in him too.
He didn't touch the ball. He got 2 key blocks, and him and his threat ability made them pull a linebacker out the box. And we're gonna do some things to mix it up to get him the ball, and do some motion and things like that, and put him in certain situations. But he didn't complain, Coach. That's what I love about it.
No, he didn't.
TCU committed, and we played in the pad camp in the spring, and he had 7 touchdowns in 2 days, and more. He had some big plays, but he never complained one bit. And one thing that went unnoticed, they didn't throw one ball to his side. One ball.
Yeah, that's why he's
DeMar is going to get tested, and DeMar, number 2, is going to get tested a lot because everybody's going to stay away from Dede. But Deion Sanders and all those corners get paid the big money for a reason. So if you can shut down one side, that's the best bet you can have. Your son play corner. If you can shut down a side and they don't throw it over there, to me, that's better than having 2 interceptions because I'll just shut you down for 60 plays or so. So that kind of went unnoticed. And then River, I think, like you said, it was a big-time game. The hype of us all playing together and everybody hyping us up and being in that environment, that was probably the largest crowd I've seen since I've been.
They said between 56 to 6,000. That's a lot of people, Coach. That's a lot of people. I mean, I'm not making fun. I'm not making fun.
Danny and Rodney, and I'm not trying to knock them, but in Oklahoma City the crowds are down a little bit, so they probably only played in front of a couple hundred. And River, Bishop, McGinnis is a small community, but they pack out their games. But I don't think they're gonna get to 6,000. So you mix that in with learning how to mesh and play with people. It's gonna. I think it's gonna take one game really for them to get comfortable. That's what I was excited about. That they responded even when we turned the ball over. We responded, and we got a goal line stand on one of the interceptions, and the pick six was just one of those freak deals.
Yes,
and they responded to us. And I kind of like how we got called out on defense first, and I love the way our captain, 3-year starter, Braylon Adama, said, "Hey, this is Code Red, and if somebody wants to take the ball first, they're going to learn that you got a big defensive force over here that's going to have something to say about it."
Coach, I know you had mentioned it earlier. The Vite magazine. You had talked about this being one of your top secondaries. I think that defense as a whole is one of the tops that I've seen you had the last few years. I know you've had some great players in Jason and Tango, and then with Foreman and some of those guys. But the Sack King. I just tell you right now, I just think your linebacker core is good. With number 40 is just he's a man child, man.
Rickland Holmes is,
and we've all laughed and joked about it and said this kid would be one of the best players that come out of the state of Oklahoma his senior year. And Coach, I truly believe that. And this is the funny thing, Coach. I don't know how many holding calls that Choctaw had, but they had to have. I mean, they didn't throw a lot of flags on him, but Rickland didn't have a jersey. I mean, he was number 40.
Got ripped.
Yeah.
Jersey got ripped.
Yeah, he was number 40.
All the way down the side. And,
yeah. He was.
The holding calls, it's just so weird because I don't. And one time somebody explained this to me. Me and Coach Dunn was talking about it because we had the same issue when he was here. Sometimes our calls just were lopsided. Maybe we need to get better at technique. I'm not going to blame that on rest, but sometimes when you're athletic and you're aggressive, sometimes you get the bad anything like Shaq. You remember Shaq?
Yes, sir.
Would get that kind of situation. And so sometimes when you're big and aggressive, you just don't get those calls, and that's unfortunate. But we just need to improve because we had some crucial holding calls that were pretty questionable. But that's football, and that ref is hired for a reason. So. But Rickland Holmes jersey rip, I can't see that happen. I don't know if you can rip it like that, Coach, because it's ripped all the way down from the armpit all the way down to the bottom. So
yeah,
he wasn't carrying the ball. That's all I'm saying.
It looked like he had a poncho on, Coach, like
like a little dress.
A dress, man. It's funny. But Coach, let's talk about some of the other guys that kind of stood out for you the other night, man. Because I think as a whole, I know we didn't get to finish the game, and I know they're trying to. Somebody texted me earlier today and said, does Delsey not get the win? Because it says, Choctaw's record is 0-0. Folks, anybody that went to that game, man, I know they can sit there and say, and it's not smashing them or talking noise, but if anybody watched that game, know that, they can say, yeah, we're coming back, but they was never stopping. They was never going to stop Rodney and your defense. Yeah, he gave a couple big runs to Cash, but I think
because we gave up 17 points because you can't count the pick six and you can't count the safety.
Yeah.
So you take away those 8 points. Holding Choctaw, as you tell me before the game that we're going to hold an offense that has scored in the likes of 60s and 40s and 50s since the last 4 or 5 years, even when your son was there. If I can hold them to 17 points in 3 quarters, I'm happy with that defensively.
Yes,
and some of the names, Billy Lewis, starting left tackle for us, and he plays nose and defensive tackle for us as well. He's a 2-year starter. He's a big, he's a Samoan kid. He's just one. You know how their body types are, just big, thick kid, and to play both ways and play with the energy and play with the effort he has, Coach. I think he's going to be a Division I prospect. Though I think he already is. I think some of these Division I schools really need to play notice of a guy that's 6'3" and 280 that can move like him and can play both ways. Imagine if he's just playing one side of the ball, and I think he's going to get his name out there. Then our defensive ends, Jarvis Kelly and Tay Johnson. Tay Johnson had a real physical game. He's kind of, he started as a sophomore, but you can kind of see that juniorness, him being a junior, him being a little bit more quicker, a little bit more used to the style of the game, and Jarvis Kelly, he has some bright spots. He has some times that he needs to grow. First year starter, but he has some size and he did some good things. And Braylon Adama, we talked about that. The interception play is probably one of the biggest plays I had since I've been in Del City, with the hype of this game and the intensity of this game and the crowd, everybody sitting on their seats, and to open it up with that play, Coach, that's a big statement for our season. That's how we want to come into the season. And then the O-line, Coach, the O-line just played, that's one of the bigger teams we're going to see all year. That's one of the biggest teams in the state. They're aggressive. They blitz. They got some big linebackers. They got two of the bigger D tackles. You're going to see two of them. And our O-line didn't look like they look like they belong. And that's what I've been trying to build here since I took over the job at Dale City. You know, we always kind of lost in those big games in the trenches. We kind of used to lose the war. So our guys stepped up and they were good. And Daryl Thomas, you know, he's the number 26 recruit in the state, and he's one of the number 2 offensive tackles in his class. And you know, he's always struggled with that physicality. He just didn't have that demeanor like Kanajo. Well, boy, did he ever this game.
Yeah.
You know, I had a conversation with him, and I said, hey, just stop worrying about you losing your spots. Stop worrying about you not starting. That was last year. You're going to be the guy no matter what. Go out there and just go beat up on somebody. If you can't find somebody and you miss on your block, stop stopping, looking around. Go find somebody else. And he listened. He had a very, very physical game. So did the whole offensive line, you know. So, and the receivers did a good job blocking. We had some receivers step up. A young kid from Louisiana, Kadarius Farmer, caught he caught a touchdown pass and caught a 2-point conversion as well. He made some big catches. Shaden Green, the one you like, number 28 from last year, he switched to 7. He played receiver and blocked well, and you know, he dropped one key right before the first half was over. But for him to be able to make that transition and move the slot and not be jealous and not be bitter, because most kids could have left. Most kids could have went to another school, and he probably could start. Y'all know he would start at 31 other schools, 30, because you got X over there called Albert. But other schools, he would be a starting running back. But he stayed and he switched the slot, and he's playing linebacker for us. And then I think Aaron Carter had a great game. Great game at Mike Becker. He made that big hit on the goal line on the quarterback, and that quarterback's he's a good size. That stop right there led to that goal line stand.
Yes, sir.
So that's a different game if we don't get that stop. I think that kind of showed who we are last year, especially losing some games off 2-point conversions. It kind of showed what we've been working on and what we've been preaching. And, you know, Aaron Carter's very humble. And he could have left, too, and played running back somewhere else. So I'm just glad that all these running backs stuck around and understood that everybody can eat. Everybody can shine. College is going to find you where you at. Stay true to where you're at. You know, don't leave because of positions. Now, I understand everybody makes moves here. I got transferred, but don't move because of the position. Move because it helps you in the future and helps you get to college. You know, but our whole team showed out, special teams. You know, Braylon Dahmer's little brother made 2 extra points, even though we had some bad snaps. Our D snapper, that was the first time you know, Tay Johnson's our normal D snapper. He dislocated his finger earlier last weekend. You know, he's still healing from that. He played through it, but the sophomore was new, and he was the first time kicker, and everybody's so used to seeing us so consistent in the kicking game. Everybody was shocked when we got him out there, just because Stanley's pretty money. But we'll get better at that, and we'll continue to improve, and he'll be a sophomore. So all the way around, I think we responded to the adversity of being in a hostile crowd, playing against a great team with the home advantage. You know, I was told it was 100 out of 100 that they can win and beat us. I think we showed that we're a tough outing, and regardless if we were going to win or not, we're a tough outing. And, you know, I appreciate the competition from Choctaw. It's a good game.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. One thing I got to give it up to, man, I got to give it up to the student body, because they came out with the fly swatter, and then they said they was gonna swat the Yellow Jackets down. You know, I got this fly swatter a couple of years ago, and I love it. I keep it on the show with me, but I love the student body, man. I love the crowd, man. I've been doing the games, you know, Coach Jones showed the last 3 years, and I tell you, man, Coach, that was one of the biggest crowd. And I tell you, man, and the thing about it, Coach, I know you had some knuckleheads up in the stands, but Coach, at the end, it's one of the biggest crowds you've had. And me and you preach in some of the playoff games, some of the playing against Coweta, playing against McAllister. Let's bring out the crowd. Well, I had to say everybody came out Friday night and supported the Eagles, and it was a good crowd, man. Everybody was involved in the game. It takes, like I said, it takes a couple of knuckleheads to ruin it, because even going into the second half, you're 8 minutes into the game. I mean, and then, you know, all this stuff pops off, you know. But at the end of the day, if you're watching a great high school football game, that was a great high school football game the other night. I mean, both coaches made some adjustments. Like I said, you're coming out with a new quarterback, you know, brand new to the team, and learning everybody. I mean, granted, you can talk about 7-on-7, you can talk about pad camp, you can talk about that. But now when you're going live and you can get hit, it's a whole different ball game. So
Absolutely.
I really think
I think River did a good job. I think River did a good job responding.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And
Coach,
picks and they were crucial picks, and he responded well and took us down there and drove us. And he made some of those checks to Rodney. You know, he checked that run game. And he's a smart kid, intelligent kid, and I can't wait to see him and Rodney really mesh together and really him and LaDainian. Hey. We're about 6 receivers deep, and I love that just because I want everybody to have opportunity to play. You know, when you can play both ways, I think that happened. And your boy Jashawn McAllister had a big game too, and he played the whole game injured. You know, he got 9.
Man, that's my man. My brother really love him, man. He's a skinny young man. What grade is he in, Coach? He's junior or senior?
He's junior. He's gonna make some noise because he's getting tall like his brothers that play basketball. So he's like 6'2". He's going to be like 6'2", 190.
Hey, he can't make some good hits.
He's just one of them. He's one of them Steve Atwaters.
Yeah, that's it, Steve Atwater. You need to change his. You need to change his number to 27, Coach. You hear me? I said we need to change his number to 27. Old Steve Atwater.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to him about that. Say, hey man, you need to go watch this guy's highlights. That's what he plays. And you know, he's another guy that's not selfish. You know, he was playing safety, and that probably can help him get recruited because he has more of the prototype size. And we knew that we needed him at linebacker, and he was all about it. Didn't blink an eye. And those kind of guys are gonna get recruited regardless, because regardless of the position you play, let's go play football, and they'll come, and that'll put you where they want you at. You know, I got guys that got recruited out of position, and as soon as they got there, they got changed to the position that I was trying to get them to play in high school. Yes, so trust your high school coaches and trust what they're doing. And if you can play football, they'll find you. But Jashawn McAllister will be found because he can play some football, man. He can run, he can hit, he tackles well, he's very physical. I'm just excited to see him and Rickley out on the outside and having Aaron in there as an anchor. That's a pretty good linebacker crew. You mix him in with DeMar, and DeMar Turner, I didn't bring him up early because I really want to give him his flowers. He got picked on early. He got a pass interference. I feel like if he would have got his head around then, he would have picked it. For him to be able to get tested like that and to make the plays he did, that's showing his maturity. And I think with him and LaDainian Fields, we got 2 of the best corners, not only in 5A, but possibly in the state. And Blake Barker, a kid who has some issues character-wise and struggled a little bit, but he's rolled the course, and I gave him grace, and now he's starting safety for us. He's 6'3", and he's 175, so he's going to open up some opportunities for him, and that's the kind of stories I love. And you spoke with him when you first started coming to Dale City as a freshman. And to see him now as a senior, because I didn't think he was going to start for me. I never even thought he would play a snap of DB for me. That's why I tell kids you never know. And I just needed, we moved Jashawn up, and I needed to test some people out, and he kind of stepped up, and now he started. He got an interception. So to be able to get 4 interceptions against that high-potent passing offense, I'll take that any day with that secondary. So kind of touted like I thought, and I can't wait to see how they finish the rest of the year.
Well, Coach, let's talk about Booker T real quick before we end this call. I know you always got your Wednesday night Coach Rose dinner night, but real quick, let's talk about Booker T. I know they come in not to get to finish their game, kind of like you guys. So hopefully y'all both get to finish your game this Thursday night, because both teams only played maybe a quarter and a half. So I hope you both get to finish this come Thursday night. But what does Booker T look like to you on film? I know they're probably not the same Booker T, but they still always gonna have some great athletes over there.
Well, everybody says they're not the same, and I think they're not the same because they don't have that high-touted recruit like they've had in the past 6 years. But they're still very fast, still very athletic, big, very improved up front on both sides of the ball. I think they have a new offensive coordinator and new defensive coordinator, kind of like in the same situation I'm in. They didn't get to finish their game last week, but they played into the fourth quarter. And I saw some things out there that I think they're going to be a state contender as well in 6A too. So it's going to be another great matchup for us to see where we're at from a physical standpoint. And I think they can match our athleticism with the speed and agility that they have. So it's always a good matchup versus them just because they're kind of like a mirror of ourselves. It kind of makes our kids have to elevate their play because, you can't just rely on the speed and take advantage of some other teams. In this game, you got to go out there and play because there's some pit bulls just like you. So I'm excited to see how we look physical-wise versus them. I'm excited to see how we can continue to mesh together. And I told them my heart goes out to Coach Brown and Booker T. They went through a tragic event, too, where you are scared for your family, you're scared for your brothers on the team, and scared for your coaches, and scared for everybody, scared for the community. They went through the same thing as us. So I'm excited that we're able to get out there together and heal together in this process of just getting through this. I can't even say get over, just getting through it. So I'm excited to get out there with Coach Brown. And this is a tradition that me and him have talked about that we want to keep going. We want to keep this tradition going. I think it's big for the state. I think it's big for Tulsa and Oklahoma City and Dale City area. So I'm excited to get out there and go against them. Man, they're a talented team. They got a new quarterback, just like we do, and he's very talented. He can do some things in the air. He can also run as well. And they got some talented receivers. So and a running game as well. And their O-line has good size. So it's going to be a good matchup. And I think a lot of people need to understand that this ain't just going to be a Dale City win. This ain't going to just be us showing up. We're going to have to go. If we're going to win against Booker T, it's going to have to be very earned. We're going to have to go out there and out physical. We're going to have to go out there and play good technical football.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Coach, like I said, I know you're ready to get back on the field, especially after last week, man. Do give you guys the courage of going out there. I know your opponent last week ended up canceling their game this week. But like I said, it's tough for everybody. But I think the best thing is keep rocking and rolling, man. Don't have time to sit back and think about it. Because I think when you think about it, is when it hits you. But like I said, I know you guys in administration, Andy and Dr. Cobb and everybody else are going to do the right thing to make sure everything is done right. Because you can see everybody's taking this serious, Coach. You got everybody. The governor and everybody is talking about the protocols that you got to have at each school now. I got a phone call today. They got the middle school game tomorrow, and they're telling me, hey, the middle school is calling and leaving messages and saying, hey, this is how it's going to be. So, like I said, it was a terrible tragic that it happened, but I think we live and learn from it and grow from it and teach and talk to the kids. And hopefully, if people got kids in their classroom or that's going through some stuff, because some young men and women, I'm going to say women too, they have to use the streets to feel like they're somebody. Some of these kids need to be hugged and told, hey, we love you. And I think a lot of times these kids don't get that, and that's why they turn to the streets and think, oh, I go out here and gang bang. This is going to be – I tell people all the time, I don't know the last time a Crip and I'm not knocking nobody, but a Crip of Blood had a 401k from your set. I'm trying to retire, Coach, just like you. So I wish some of these guys would listen at it. You know what I'm saying?
Know when you get to a certain age, fighting over color gets kind of senseless.
No, man.
Fighting over a neighborhood that you don't own.
Yeah.
You don't own the neighborhood.
You didn't build one house in that neighborhood.
The state owns it. The state owns that street. The government owns it. You don't own it.
Yes,
so
sir.
Fighting over neighborhoods and colors, you get to a certain age where you're like, hey, guys, that's just, you never see it when you're young because they think we're old heads.
Yep.
And, they call us old heads. But, hey, I'll tell you what, this old head can realize that fighting over gangs and fighting over colors and neighborhoods and drugs and all that stuff, it's a dead-end road. It's either prison or, unfortunately, it's to a road, where it leads. So I hope kids can understand that.
Yes, sir. Well, Coach Jones, man, I know we didn't get to do the show in person, but, man, anytime we get together and talk high school football, Dale City football, great things you're doing over there in Dale City, man. I tell you, a lot of people walked away with that game and they only get to see half of the game, but walked away saying, man, this team could be a contender. And I know it's one game at a time, man, and I know everybody's looking in their rearview mirror of Dale City on their schedule, so I just think if the boys can stay healthy and do the things they need to do, it's going to be a great season for the Dale City Eagles, man. And like I said, it's been, since 1975. I know
1976, yes, sir.
Yeah, and so,
make sure you tell everybody to check me out on the Sports Animal, too. I'll be out there this Saturday.
Tell them, Coach. Hey, this Coach Jones show. Tell them what's going on. Tell them.
Yeah, I'm going to be out there, Tony. I got the opportunity of a lifetime. I got the opportunity to do the pre- and post-game live Oklahoma State show. I'm excited about it with the Sports Animal. I'm excited about it. I'm doing my first game this weekend.
You nervous?
I think the young man who had a speech impediment could barely speak and would have the fear of speaking in public. And you saw a little bit when we started the show, and that's why I'm so excited for the show and excited for the growth for it, because if it wasn't for the show, I wouldn't be getting this opportunity, Tony.
No, man.
I really would. So I'm thankful for the show. You're doing it for free. You have put young men in the spotlight. Even Rodney had an interview today with OSSN because he won the OSSN Broadcast Player of the Week. He won the Farmer. He's going to be on the Sports Animal tomorrow. He won that Player of the Week. And to hear him speak better, it started with the Keep It 100. So you're touching lives. You touch my life. I wouldn't be on the show Saturday without you. I would. When I first started the show, I couldn't speak, and I continue to get better at it and continue to do it week in and week out. And I'm thankful that, I called you that day and said, hey, man, let's do this thing. Even though I was scared, taking that leap of faith got me on the Sports Animal. So I'll be on there this Saturday. we'll start it off. The game starts at 6 p.m., I believe, so the show will start at 5, and then we'll do the post game after they play. But just to be able to be on the show and, talking about Oklahoma State, talking about some kids I have there, Donovan Stevens, Anthony Goodlow, Jaden Foreman, Rodney's going there. So be able to speak about my kids and be able to watch them.
That's big time.
Also, I wanted to get this out there too. Mike Gundy of Oklahoma State reached out to me. Mike Gundy will be at the game tomorrow, which is amazing. It's a great opportunity for him to show support for us for what we're going through with the incident last Friday. And I appreciate you for Mike Gundy for doing that. He's a Middale kid. He knows the heart and core of Middale like me and you do, because this is a great place, regardless of what anybody says about any school in Middale. This is a great place. It's got great people. And Mike Gundy will be there tomorrow to watch the game. And then also J.C. Watts will be coming out next Tuesday to speak to the team as well. So I'm getting that positive image going. I'm getting our kids to be around positive leaders, to let them know that people love Del City, people see what we're doing, people know what we're doing with your show. So I'm excited to get to do these things because of the show, and I think a lot of opportunities came for this. So everybody needs to know that Tony has opened up a lot of opportunities for Del City, for Middale, and not only us, just other kids throughout the state, just to be able to get recognized, and you do it for free. And that's unheard of these days, Coach.
Well, Coach, I appreciate
every
that.
other sports thing, I got to pay for it now.
Well,
I got to read an article or hear something from my kid. I'm paying for it somehow, some way. So for you to do that free, man, we appreciate you at Del City. We appreciate you at Middale, brother.
No, Coach, like I said, man, it's a great opportunity to talk to kids, man. I love it. I coached for a long time, but I'm still involved with high school kids and getting to watch kids grow. Last week I had CJ, Miles, CJ Simons from Moron. This Sunday our special guest is going to be, Franklin from Muskogee, the quarterback. Birdman, one of my favorite kids to talk to. I just tell you, he'll have a tough game coming in next Friday night. Not this Friday night, but the following Friday night, he'll be taking on the Carl Appetites. Both teams should come in undefeated, so that should be pretty exciting game. I'm gonna make that trip down there, man, to check that game out to see. It's a good time for, I know this Coach Jones show, but it's a good time for Bird to kind of put himself on the map going against Sperry and show that what he can do.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be an awesome game. And this year, Military going to be a good one. We're with the opportunity of us playing on Thursday, I get to go out and watch the Carl Albert Miller City game. I'm excited to see that.
Yes, sir.
That's a good rivalry. 2 minutes, Miller City schools fighting for the M-Dub.
That's it. But Coach, like I said, I appreciate it, man. Like I said, we'll get back to rolling next week live. With each other, people can look at me and your good-looking face together sitting on the field. But Coach, like I said, good luck to you tomorrow night, man. I know you're gonna go take care of business, and I know you're gonna have those guys ready to go take care of Booker T. And like I said, you can use the fly swatter again to swat down them Hornets. So, like I said, yes, Coach, well, good luck to you. Okay.
All right, thanks, TC. Have a good one, brother.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. Well, folks, that's Coach Jones, man. Like I said, we did the Coach Jones show. We kind of did it a little different today because the schools kind of locked everything down just because of the simple fact of what happened last week. So to try to make sure everything is, taken care of, safe. And I understand that, man. I mean, I know it kind of took away from me and Zoe going out to shoot the balls a little bit this week. But, I'm glad Del City is going to get to play this week. Get those kids' mind off that, man, because I said it's a tragic, like I said, once again, prayers for that young man, Carter's family, a young man that lost his life at a young age. It's really sad because, people always say you should never bury your kids, and I have five of my own. You want them to bury you, but sometimes it don't roll that way. But at the end of the day, hopefully everything can get back to normal, man. I know high school football is one of the favorite things that goes on, especially Oklahoma is a football state. But once again, we appreciate watching a great episode of Keeping It 100 Coach Jones Show, and we'll be back next week on our regular show together. So thank you. See ya.